Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Catherine Lorimer's Guide to Life podcast. Yes, it is. We made it to December 2025. This is the December monthly news rant. Okay, yeah, so don't bother listening to the news because it's a bit miserable. Just have a listen to my podcast once a month. I don't include all of the news, some of it's really quite horrible, so I don't bother. I skip over those bits. But I'll give it a brief mention maybe. In case you're wondering, wow, she's still got that cold. No, it's the same day. I'm recording it on the same day, 19th. Is it the 19th? Yes, it is, isn't it? 19th. I haven't still got the cold. Hopefully it's gone by the time you're listening to this. I'm just doing it because I've got such a full week planned. As per squeezing in 2 holidays during Christmas. So I'm not going to be around much. I'm being super organised. So as I said in November, if it's the end of the world, then I've missed it. Okay, but I didn't miss it last month, so hopefully it won't happen this month either. Right, okay, right. Now I was going to try and find some nice local Christmas stories, and do you know what? I have. Yeah, whether or not I've actually made a note of them, or I'll have to see, but hopefully I have. So first of all, cast back to the end of November. It was the budget. Tax on pensions, okay, is the thing that came out for me. You won't pay tax on a state pension, but if you've got a private pension that takes you over the threshold, okay, then you will pay tax, which seems a little bit ludicrous. So basically, what it looks like they're trying to get you to do is retire early on your personal pension. And then, so maybe, it depends how big your personal pension plan is, but if you've got quite a big one, you may be wanting to look at retire at 65. And then, as long as you've got enough to make it last for 10 years, I don't know, maybe you haven't, maybe you should retire at 70. And then when your state pension then kicks in from 75. So that with me would seem logical. Maybe they're trying to free up jobs. Yeah, free up jobs for younger people, get rid of the older people, get them onto retirement early. Do you know what? You've worked enough. Why would you want to continue? Why would you want to work to you're 75? I don't want to work till I'm 75. That's not happening. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that yet, but I've got a plan. And in fact, more importantly, my pension advisor has got a plan. She just hasn't told me what it is yet. She hasn't worked it all out, but there we go. Right. Okay. Yeah, so unfortunately, Vallegro, remember the famous dancing horse owned by or ridden by Charlotte Dujardin. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'll just blame the cold. And Utopia by Carl Hester, put to sleep age 23 and 24. It's quite sad. And there's mixed about this. And lots of people, there's a bit of outrage saying, why have you done this? Well, they're not, you shouldn't really have no right to comment. They're not your horses. You didn't own them. And at the end of the day, these 2 horses have been kept together forever and always done things together. And horses really form strong bonds with each other. And what I've seen with an older horse particularly is if it loses its companion, then it goes downhill quite quickly. And plus, it's actually really responsible because in the equestrian, something that annoys me, we see it all the time. 20-year-old horse looking for new home as companion, okay, because someone doesn't want to look after it anymore. And this poor horse has probably been with them for years. I didn't do that. Okay, we had our horses, Jim and Red, until they were. I had Red from the age of 6 until he was 23. We owned Jim from 14 until he was 24, and we had them put down at home. Which is, it's what I always promised my big horse Red, what I would do. And that's what I did. And I just think that's what you should do. Obviously I've got Merlin now, he's 10, but already thinking about his future, what's best for him. And it's something that you have to kind of think about these things. Okay, farm inheritance tax is, kicking off because it's kicked in after 1 million, and basically most farmhouses are worth about that. But I don't know. I don't really know. I haven't really looked into it, but it seems a bit logical for me. If they're worried about people inheriting it, can't they just move it over? And then if it's within the 7-year period, it won't count. I don't know. I'm not sure. I've just made that up completely. Someone needs to actually look into that. But it's causing farmers an awful lot of stress, and they're getting to the stage where they're thinking, what's the point? Because you know what? It is a really hard life. I've lived on a small holding, and it's really hard, trying to get grants and funding for stuff. And you are working. It's 7 days. You don't get a day off. You never have a day off. Even if it's your day off for Christmas, we still had to go out and feed the horses, do the fencing. You could bet your life that the bath would need defrosting. The water pipes would be frozen and you'd have to carry buckets of water from the bathroom. Honestly, it was just a nightmare. Where I am now, I've got the stable next to the water tap that works in the winter, mainly because I have back issues and I can't really carry it very far. So I thought, right, I'll install myself there. Well, it wasn't actually the reason, but it's worked out that way. So there's loads of things that, it's a really hard life. I mean, you see on social media all the time, don't you? People having fun with their horses and doing stuff, but there's a lot that goes on in the background, and it is quite difficult. So palm oil, right? Mentioned it in the podcast that I've just done. There's a shed load of palm oil and ale chocolate products now. How's that happened? Right, I remember sitting here ranting I don't even know where I was sitting. I was sat somewhere ranting about Cadbury's chocolate. I even emailed them to say, "Oi, guys, what's wrong with your chocolate? There's something different about it. It doesn't taste the way it used to. It's not as milky." Well, that's why they've shoved a load of palm oil in it. We don't know what palm oil's doing to us. I'm not. And they're chopping down loads of trees. Okay, right. So we have cows in the UK, right, that produce milk. Okay. Cows then chuck milk down the drain, okay, because they haven't got enough milk quota. Because, so it's a waste product. So the waste product that's going down the drain, instead of going into the chocolate, and then we're chopping trees down in some remote location to extract palm oil. Something's gone really horrible wrong here. It's just not right. Just saying. Okay. It's a monthly news rant. I'm really ranting. Flu's on the rise. Yes, thank you. I've already had it. I'm never ill. I didn't have my flu vax, mainly because I got flu first, or COVID. I don't know. I didn't end up coughing, so it probably was flu. But I was really ill. It took me about 2 weeks to get over it. I was really, really poorly, like in bed poorly. But I still had to walk the dog. Fortunately, she just played ball, which she still hasn't been, by the way, for anybody who listened to last week's podcast. She's not very happy. And I'm like, what are you moaning about? And then I realised it was 12 o'clock. Yeah. Poor Pippa. I'll go out in a minute, Pippa. Promise. She's shooting me evils from her bed in the office. Slobbering all over my favourite cushion, which she seems to have pulled onto the floor. Anyway, flu's on the rise, wearing masks in certain areas. It's just happening. But these things are going to happen. Right, at Trump, I've got to mention Mr. Tango, haven't I? You've been tangoed. He's been trying to make friends with Europe this week by saying his leaders are weak. He's blaming them for not being able to end the war with Ukraine, mainly because he hasn't been able to do that himself. And obviously it's not his fault. He can't possibly accept the blame for not being able to do it. So he's blaming Europe. Excellent. Great. Typical narcissist. Right. Bondi Beach, 15 people shot dead, 15 people from the Jewish community. I haven't looked into the information on that. It's pretty horrific. I've been to Bondi Beach. It's a beautiful place, and when things like that happen, unless you've actually been in that location and can picture it, it's quite difficult to see it. And when you see it on TV, things like that don't really seem real. But I remember Hungerford and Dunblane as well, and when you heard about those, and we were really horrified because they were the first kind of things like that, weren't they? Now it's kind of like, it's another mass shooting. Where is it this time? And it loses something. But actually, I think you have to think. Imagine you're in your house, okay, right now, and you hear loads of gunshots, or probably think they're fireworks. You look out the window, and somebody is stood there shooting loads of people dead or bursting into people's houses. How scared do you think you would be? Really scared. Okay, there's no escape from this. And, and I think we need to, and this is the problem, because all the news is all bad and we see all these things all the time, and we see things, like computer games, they've all got things like this in, and killing somebody and shooting somebody on a computer game is normal. Killing somebody, we shouldn't be doing that on computer games. Okay, we shouldn't be portraying Arnie, hey, yeah, I'll be back, as like, oh yeah, he's a hero, he's shooting everybody. Killing people is wrong. Okay, it's wrong. You don't have it in your power to do it. You shouldn't be doing it. You don't have the right to take another person's life. That's not your right. And until we kind of stop all this, then it's going to continue and it's going to get a lot worse. Because people think that if we do it on computer games, that it's okay to do it, and it's not. Thank you for agreeing with me behind there, Pippa. Duke of Marlborough has been charged with intentional strangulation of his estranged wife. What a lovely guy. Just because you're rich and you inherit loads of titles doesn't necessarily mean that you're a nice person. Yeah, he'll get off with that. We know he will do. It's taken over a year to bring the charges about. Polar bear mother adopts a cub. Lovely story. Rarely happens in the wild, apparently. Never happens, but some people, I think it was in Canada, were tagging a load of polar bears, and they tagged this mother and her cub. Sorry, the dog's sighing heavily behind me, not very happy. Tagged this polar bear and her cub, and then when they came to kind of revisit and track them and everything, they found that she'd picked up another cub from somewhere, which apparently is, and you can tell that the other cub doesn't actually look much like the polar bear. Is a slightly different colour, white. I think that's the thing about if you like, because I've started painting, you realise that white isn't white. Sometimes it's cream and slightly off white. Anyway, that was on the BBC press. Now, the police usually get a bit of a kind of bad press, don't they? But do you know what? They actually do some really good things. And I came across a couple of really nice stories. So I'm going to read them out. One was Crew Police. It's Cheshire. Basically, they applied for a funding grant. This was off Facebook, by the way, for a local resident who has sadly lost their partner because they're bereaved. But they'd also seen how they'd supported their partner through the depths of dementia, always being there for them every step of the way. And they were invited into these people's lives through missing person calls and reassurance visits. So they clearly built up a kind of, rapport with this person or this couple. And they saw the commitment that the wife gave to her husband each and every day. And it was love in its purest form. Now, it's like they have like long phone calls, home visits, companionships, this resident. They've seen the hard days that she went through. And she's shown so much strength and courage. And they're really proud of how well she's managed losing her partner. And they wanted to show her support. So they applied for this funding grant that was actually for a victim of crime or for someone who had suffered significant loss. And she's been awarded some money. I'm not going to tell you how much because there's some mean people out there which will probably say something. But I just thought, what a lovely story. That they've done that, because obviously there's been a lot of contact. Clearly, if her husband's had dementia, clearly he's obviously gone missing. And she's had to phone them to sort of report him missing a few times because they've clearly been there to support her through the whole process, and they've built a relationship up with her. And I just thought, what a lovely thing to do. And I don't know who it was that suggested that, but do you know what? Well done. That's brilliant. It's just such a lovely thing to do. Really lovely thing to do. That was a really lovely story. And there's another one as well. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you've seen, like in Birmingham and Warwickshire, police horses, they've been popping back in West Midlands, which is lovely to see. And also, we had two gorgeous Clydesdales, Clydesdale police horses in Chester Town Centre recently as well, which is great. Haven't seen police horses, but the community loved it because it was all over the community pages. And they were patting the horses and they were asking what breed they were. Obviously, someone said I thought they were Clydesdales, so I just put, two lovely Clydesdales because I knew they were Clydesdales. They're massive for a start. And they help to break down the community. And one thing, relationships, and it's a sort of thing, if people see, police on horses like that, you're seeing police out and about, and that's what police were designed for. That's what Robert Peel had in mind. He was the person who came up with the idea of a police force. It's to get the police back in the community and find out what's going on, and then you know what's going on. Okay, that's the only way to police. Well, it's not the only way to police, but it's pretty good going, because what will happen is you'll break down the barriers, and people will be like, actually, no, the police are normal people, because they are normal people, and that they'll be stroking the horses, and then next time, when somebody maybe comes and knocks on the door and says, right, okay, and have you seen anything? A PCO comes and says, have you seen anything? Because we've got an incident here. Because they've seen that policeman on the horse, they'll be like, oh, actually, do you know what? Maybe I will invite them in for a cup of coffee and have a chat to them and say, oh, by the way, as well as that, I saw X, Y, Z. And that's how you find out, things that go on, because, and it's not grassing on anybody. At the end of the day, these people are committing crimes. They're breaking the law. The law's there for a reason. If you want to do that, that's at your own risk. That's fine. You do that. Well, it's not fine, because you shouldn't be doing it. They're to protect everybody. Some laws may be a little bit more stringently protected, like because it's easier to get the numbers. Like I think I've mentioned before, like particularly, along the lines of like social media, it's easy. You've got targets to meet. So you just get rid of all the bureaucracy, get rid of all the targets, Yeah, sure, measure the crimes in numbers, but actually we need to be focusing on the more severe crimes. So anyway, so I think that's great. I really like the fact that police horses are back. You can see everything from the back of a police horse, everything, especially on a 17 hands. I used to have a 16.3. Which is not far off the side. Well, those Clydesdales might be about 18 hands, but you can basically on top of a horse, you can see everything. Okay, guys, when I was riding along, I could see in your bedroom windows. Okay, just saying. And yes, we do swap stories of naked people that we have seen out horse riding. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, oh yeah, we do. Yeah, we've seen it all on horses. You don't miss anything. On the little pony, I can't see much over the hedge, I'll be honest with you, but on a big horse, you can see so much. But also it breaks down barriers. It helps re-establish the relationship with the police and the community, which is what we need, because we've had a few bad eggs, okay? Do you know what? You get that everywhere. Look around where you're living, okay? You've got a street, haven't you? Right, you've probably got, say you've got like 30 people living in your street, right? They're about 68 in my parents' street. I reckon 67 of those probably lovely. There'll always be one, won't there? One idiot that doesn't like Christmas, doesn't have any lights on, doesn't bother cutting his grass, lawn, whatever. She says, looking out at hers, thinking, yeah, my neighbour does that for me all the time, but I'm never here, so hey. But there is always that one miserable person on the street, or the one person who is doing something slightly dodgy behind closed doors. But it's not the norm, okay? It really isn't the norm. So, yeah, we've had a few bad eggs, but bad news travels faster. People share it. People don't necessarily share the good news. So I wanted to share the good news because I thought there's two really lovely news stories, and it didn't take much finding. Actually, it just popped up on my pages. Okay, so that is my monthly news rant done. And where are we? It will be the 27th when you listen to this, so it'll be Happy New Year from me. Well, it won't be, but have a good New Year's Eve. I'm really looking forward to this New Year's Eve. We've got something really nice planned. Haven't kind of done all the details yet, but maybe we should think about that actually. Yeah, okay. Probably should get on it. Right, so, okay, have a good one, everyone, and I will catch you next year.